Anika, are you in the Sahi program?
Yeah, I am. I'm a second
That's
year
awesome.
in Sahi.
Awesome. That's awesome. I graduated in 19.
Yeah, I know I recognized your name because
I was like, I knew your name too. I don't think we've ever met. So what institution are you at for your GA?
I'm working the IUP Res Life.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got really excited.
Thomas, I remember you from visitation actually. Because Thomas said
was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. Such a small world.
Yep.
It's crazy. I honestly forget how small our field is. And then I was just reading an article the other day, and a friend who's down in Georgia popped up, and I was like, oh, wow, like, that's insane. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, I feel like everyone knows everyone at some point. Tori, our secretary, went through Sahi, and one of my friends, how was it? She was her RA, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, how do you know my friend Paige?" And Tori's like, "She was my RA, and she's currently watching my children." So while we were at Makua, like we called my friend who was watching her. It was just, it's so weird, like how many connections, and yeah, no matter where you go, you'll know someone.
Where is everyone at school right now or in your program?
I guess I'll go. So I am at Montclair State University, and I am studying higher education. I have about 3 more semesters left. Yeah, I'm very hopeful to graduate next December. We'll see.
Yeah, we can jump in if people just want to start introductions. Say your name, pronouns, where you're going for your program right now, if you're in a program right now.
So,
hey, also, sorry. I totally missed my whole introduction. I'm Victoria Resto. I go by she, her, hers, but you can just call me Vic.
Wait, should I go? I'm sorry. Sorry. My name is William Turner. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm going to Bloomsburg University. I'm currently in Allentown right now, so I'll be back at Bloom later on today.
My name is Thomas Mannion. Hello, beautiful people. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am a second year in the Bloomsburg University College Student Affairs program.
Hi, my name is Michael Holland. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm currently at Misericordia University.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gina. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm also at Misericordia University.
Hi, I was trying to wait until they were done like vacuuming outside of my office. But my name is Caitlin Poe. I use she, her, hers pronouns. So I'm kind of weird. I'm actually a second year master's student at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. And I work in Housing and Res Life as an assistant community director. But I'm also a graduate intern at George Washington University in DC. So hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca, but I go by Becca. I'm actually currently a prospective student looking to go to graduate school to get my master's in higher education administration, but I'm currently working at Gettysburg College as a residential life coordinator. And I use she, her, hers pronouns.
I can go next. My name is Anika. I'm a second year graduate student in the IUP Student Affairs and Higher Education program. Pronoun she, her, hers.
And I'm not sure if Lamar Shea is in a position to talk. So I can just go. My name is Angela Dolphine Meckler, she, her, hers. I am one of the engagement coordinators for graduate level professionals. So I will be helping to lead our discussion today. I am a 2019 graduate of the Indian University of Pennsylvania Sahi program. And I currently work as a residence hall coordinator at West Virginia University. And I see Lamar Shea just jumped in. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Lamar Shea Chang. I currently attend Caldwell University, and I am from Jamaica, and I'm here studying masters in global business. Undergrad was in computers and pre-med.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining. And last but not least, my David.
Shout out to Angela with the name change. That threw me off for a second
married,
when you yeah, with the name change. I knew, but now actually hearing it, it's like, shout out to you. Congratulations. David Shanks, I am the co-engagement coordinator for grad level members in Makuho. So I am currently at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I went to undergrad and grad school at Rowan University. So got some Jersey roots. Nice to meet you all. Glad to have you here. Hopefully we can get some value out of this conversation and build a community. So looking forward to seeing how the rest of our time goes.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much again for joining us. So really this space is dedicated to you. I came up with a couple of guiding questions, maybe to get us started, and then we'll let the conversation kind of take its course. Feel free to chime in. I just ask respectfully that we try really hard, because I know it's hard on Zoom. We try not to talk over each other, but you don't have to raise your hands or anything. This is your conversation, your space. To ask questions of each other. David and I have also worked in residence life for a number of years. And so if you have any questions for us as well, we'll try to answer to the best of our ability. So obviously we're in a pandemic. And so I thought that a good start would be, for the group to kind of kick us off, is to talk about, what has been the most challenging thing for y'all as graduate students during COVID-19, and how has this pandemic affected your graduate experience?
I'll go. So I think that being in this pandemic, I can say that the learning aspect of it academically has been very, very challenging, because I'm more of like a hands-on in-person student. So I think that it's challenging to grasp concepts online. In terms of the actual field of higher education, I work in residence life myself, and I love my students. I love seeing them. I love when they stop by. I love when they want to interact and sit on the couch and try to, be here for an hour when that's not realistic, but I genuinely love that. So now the pandemic has kind of made that a challenge as well. I think that it's just been super difficult to kind of build community from what we're used to during these times.
Yes, definitely retweet everything that Victoria just said. Also, I don't know if anyone else can agree to this, but grad school's hard. Being a student in grad school is hard, and being a student in COVID and having that title paraprofessional and all the responsibilities that come with. So I'm a hall director at Bloomsburg. So live where I work, that whole mentality, but also taking on a full course load too. It's a lot. And I feel like I'm looking forward to every Friday, and then it's Monday again. And I think that's the hardest part about this second year.
I agree 100% with Thomas. I'm going to say retweet to that. I'm a first year in grad school at Bloomsburg, and let me tell you, I have met, sorry, they're doing construction in the house next to me. I don't know if anyone can hear that. It's really loud. But yeah, I don't know really any of my classmates. I see them on Zoom. And then once the Zoom session ends, we don't talk to each other. It's, I don't know, it's pretty terrible. Trying to meet up with them is even worse. So yeah, it's definitely made the entire grad school experience not fun. And yeah, it's definitely making the coursework even harder because you just have the Zoom fatigue. And sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, where did an hour go? Like, what is 1 to 2? Does anyone know? I don't know what 1 to 2 is anymore. Like, yeah.
Well, for me, I know there was some good things because like sometimes like it's kind of convenient to have that Zoom class, that 7 to 9:30 Zoom class at night. It's kind of convenient to have that at home. So for sure there were some like, silver linings there, but what I really missed throughout the entire experience, not only from residence life, but just as a person on a whole, is just the idea of the social interactions. It's not the same in the virtual atmosphere. Trying my best to try and cope for it, meaning like having more conversations outside, try to meet even more people, but at the same time, it's just not the same human interactions on a whole. But definitely looking forward to probably better days for sure, 100%.
I have a couple things. I think that I kind of like try to put a positive spin on COVID sometimes because I'm like, oh, my staff is closer because they have to like see each other all the time, and they can't really go out as much because we don't allow any like visitors in our halls. So that's been kind of a plus. I've gotten to know them a lot more than I thought I would. But a big negative was that I was very excited for doing a Kuai internships over the past summer, and we weren't like able to. Most of my friends were not able to go to like any of our locations, and so we had to figure out how to do those virtually. And I, once again, I'm from Texas. I did my undergrad at University of North Texas, and then I was doing my graduate program here too. And I was really excited to diversify my experience. But not being able to like actually physically go to GW was really sad, but I'm still doing it remotely. So I guess there's a plus in it is that I still get to keep doing it. But yeah, those are my general thoughts. Class is hard. Being a second year is hard. And I have no motivation for online classes, so it's even worse. But I couldn't imagine being a first year. So for anyone who's a first year, I'm so sorry. I think that you're missing the building community aspect that you get in your first classes, and that's really rough. So I'm sorry about that.
I appreciate your positive.
Oh, I was just going to add, I think for all of, especially second years right now, the impending doom of the job search process that we are all about to go through in a couple months is like terrifying right now, especially with how higher ed is looking. Some people are getting furloughed and laid off and all the other stuff. And like seeing that, especially IUP in particular is going through a really rough time with that right now. I'm like just nervous what the next couple months is going to look like, and I'm terrified to graduate without a job. So I think that is on top of everything else is also super stressful. As well as just like, I just feel bad for my students, like watching them go through this and like losing out on the experiences, like, the first year students not getting the experience that they expect. My student leaders, like my RAs are just not the same peppy people that they normally are because they're losing out on that experience. It's just really tough to kind of like try our best to support them through that, but we don't have the perfect answers right now. So we can only do as much as we can. It's just really tough sometimes.
Hello, my name is Mahalit. She, her, my pronouns. I'm an RD at Misericordia University.
Welcome. And Corey, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, hello, sorry I'm late. My name is Corey Lavelsberger. I'm a hall director at Shepherd University, and I use he, him, his pronouns. Glad to be here. I also do want to echo, I forget who was speaking, I'm so sorry, about, I think it was Anka, I'm so sorry, about like my students. It is so hard. So I have 10 RAs and I feel for them, like, especially all my extroverted ones. So like, I'm a big introvert. So like introverts in the room, you're probably like, at least for the first month ago, you're probably like, yes, like finally I don't have to see people. But like, that's how I felt. But even being an introvert myself and like my introvert students, like I'm seeing it too, that like just drag of like not being able to see people and like not like the Zoom meetings. Like finally we've been cleared to like have some like outdoor meetings, and that's been like really rejuvenative for my students, or for my RA specifically, is like being able to like see them distance but like together. But still, like I am constantly like, do you want to like go get coffee? Like, do you want to like do something? Like, because it is so tough. So I feel that on a deep level, and I got tons of students in my office crying because they just want to go and see their best friend that's in the building right next to them. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know how to support them all the time. I think that's the hardest part, is being in a job where my whole job is supporting students, and I can't do that right now, like to my fullest. So, yeah.
Something that I definitely want to add onto that, Corey, is like, it's definitely challenging to have a positive mindset and try to keep on pushing through and supporting students. But I think just your presence is enough. So don't think that you're not able to be their support, because you're doing enough just by being present for them.
Thank you for that. Something that I need to remind myself of, just like, okay, I'm here still. But yeah, thank you though.
I kind of want to go off what Corey said. I think for me, the hardest part is supporting the students that I have coming to me that don't believe in the pandemic or think that this is ridiculous. And then you have the ones who are like, my roommate goes out all the time and is going to different colleges and bringing back things. So I think that's the hardest thing. And I mean, I do have an RA on staff who feels strongly that the virus is a hoax, and I can't change their feeling on it. And it's hard for when I have different opinions and the students have different opinions. I think that's what's affected me the most, because we are in person here in Misericordia, but it's hard to support people when they all have different opinions and I have different opinions as well.
Yeah, kind of going off what Gina said, I totally agree. It's just like really hard, because I feel like for me, Gina and Mahalad, at least since we go to the same school and we have the same job, we feel like we're like mask police, and we need to like talk to every student and tell them to put a mask on and document and all of this stuff that just takes so much time and like energy out of our day, on top of the stuff that we're already dealing with that they don't see. So I think it's just kind of hard for us to be able to not look like the bad guys all the time, but it's only for the greater good, because the virus is real, rather than the people who don't really care about it as much.
Yeah, Mike, I actually got reported yesterday by a student for harassing them in their words, for telling them to wear a mask because it was campus policy. They asked for my supervisor, so I was like, yeah, this is my supervisor. Like, please feel free to shoot them an email about how you weren't wearing a mask. So thank you.
Michael, I resonate with that, and Thomas. Also, hi Thomas. We met. I think we were like interviewing together. So hello again.
We did. We were at interview weekend, Yumi and Anika at IUP.
Oh yes, hello. But I'd super resonate with that. Something that like an old mentor told me is that sometimes we play different roles in students' lives. So like if you have to play, the bad guy in someone's journey, like you have to play the bad guy for them, as long as you're helping them, along the right path. So sometimes like you kind of have to like roll with that kind of like heaviness. At least that's kind of how I take it. And like if I tell someone, like if I have to play the bad guy in your narrative, then like I'm sorry that's how you perceive me. But like my ultimate goal is to help you and like to get you where you envision your success and how you identify your success in your own life. So that's at least how I've been trying to take it. But it's still like, it feels awful to be like, hey, please put your mask on. And they're just like, me. So yeah.
So it sounds like, there you're all facing, you know, a lot of the challenges that even like as professionals in housing and residence life we're facing as well. But I was interested because I think a lot of people talked about Zoom fatigue and alluded to how this has impacted your mental health. So, would anyone be willing to share, I guess, just kind of some of the impacts that maybe you've been having that you're comfortable sharing? And then, two, how you've been navigating these potentially new mental health challenges when it comes to doing your job as a GA?
Well, I know for me, some days I can spend 12 hours on Zoom in one day, which is a lot. So I actually recently got a cat, which has really helped my mental health drastically. His name's Wonton. He's the love of my life. And if he wasn't sleeping right now, I'd show him. But that has like really helped my mental health. And so at the end of the day, like I don't turn on my TV, I don't sit on my phone. I kind of just sit and like cuddle with him for a little bit just to kind of decompress in my day. And if you're able to have an animal, I highly suggest because it has been a life changing.
I love the name Wonton.
Thank you.
I'm gonna forget that cat name.
It definitely fits his personality. He's a very, very vibrant kitty for sure.
I also. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want to go?
Go ahead, Kim.
Okay. I also have a cat. His name is Ralph, and he's really big. If you want to follow him on Instagram, let me know. I'm not a cat person, but he's like a dog, so it's kind of okay. I think in terms of my mental health, it's been really hard to stay motivated, which in turn makes me feel like I have some like imposter syndrome going to classes and being like, oh yeah, I'm learning, but like I don't want to go to any of these classes because they're all online and I don't feel like the discussion is the same. And I feel like it's become harder to turn everything off because at the end of the day, I still kind of like want to play on my phone or like watch TikToks, and I can't do that without getting notifications from my staff that we've been trying to build better boundaries, but they also sometimes don't understand that problems can wait until like 9 a.m. the next day. So I think it's been challenging, and I think that because I supervise around like 12 RAs. I think my RAs don't sometimes understand that like I don't always need to be their person that hears all of their problems and drama and issues that are going on. And so it becomes like you're carrying this weight of all of your students and then all of the residents. And then it's also all of your own issues. And it's like, oh my goodness, the world is crumbling. But then I'm like, oh, maybe it's not. And maybe I just need to like take a week off, which I did last week. So remember to say no and take a week off if you need to. And if your supervisor is like, yes, do that. But I think I have a very supportive like system here. So it's a little bit better, but.
I think for me, by the way, I also have a cat. His name is Liam. He's adorable. He is just like a dog. He is no longer a cat, but it's fine. So for my mental health, I think that I've been relying more on my fellow colleagues who are also grads in the same department. And we are heavily communicating and supporting one another and providing that sense of positivity and light to just keep us going, because we do know that we do serve a purpose within higher ed. So that's great. I love it here.
What I could say is so during the since like 7 months, I basically just started a trend, and I inspired others around me to take on this trend. Where we basically say, let's walk in the mornings and in the nights. So I personally, I'd walk like 3 miles in the morning and then 3 miles in the night. Just walk, nothing crazy, no running, because if I put too much energy or like required energy in the task, I'm probably never ever going to do it. So just the walk, I do that, and know that because it's really unconventional. There's no time when I do it, I just do it. And now what's crazy now, when if I go 12 o'clock in like 12 a.m., I'm seeing other students picking up on the same trend too. So it does help me to balance out my energy levels, because doing medicine, I realized that for someone to actually get a perfect night's sleep, they need to be equally physically tired that they are mentally tired. And with COVID, a lot of my tasks became me not moving much. So I got mentally exhausted most of the time, and I realized that just the walking kind of made everything seem even. So that trend, a lot of my friends have adapted it. So that's how we kind of worked on the mental attitudes of a lot of the persons in my community, where we just kind of prompt them to do something new, do something that is in your interest, and see if you do feel better at the end of the day. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So to jump in, unrelated, but kind of related because it's a little bit mentally straining. So, you know, we recognize that the job search process looks very different right now. Yeah, I saw so many faces like, you know, I guess what challenges are you having with navigating the current process, anxieties, and those kind of things? And then two, if you have any questions, David and I will try to answer. But, you know, again, the job search process has changed for everyone in this field. And so I know that I'm sure is causing some anxiety for y'all.
Yes, because I feel like I just got out of the job search, like grad school search, like that was a pain. And for those who just got into grad school, you know how much of a pain it was to go through that grad school time. For those of you who are currently looking, you know how stressful it is. I'm excited. I mean, if we look at this conference right now, the registration fee was so accessible, and being on Zoom, like while we're not in person, the accessibility factor is super exciting. TPE is going virtual, so the placement exchange, I never in a million years thought I'd be able to afford to go to TPE, just because you always have to travel in the hotel and like it's just expensive. But being able to open up my scope of hiring and possibility is really exciting. But I'm not looking forward to the entire applying and interviewing and on top of full-time job, on top of full-time student. So yeah, yes and no. I think that's where I am at the moment. And I think I'm stressing out a little bit too early. I've got a job wall that has nothing on it so far, but it is October.
I totally feel that, Thomas. I feel like it was just like last week that Thomas and I were like VIPs 2 years ago, and it's like crazy because like I don't know, I just feel like I got here and I feel like I'm finally understanding how to do the job, but it's like I have 5 months left. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. But yeah, I guess it's just like the stressful situation of thinking that I have to go through all of those nerves again for the second time to hopefully have not to do it again, but to see where it goes.
I don't know about you guys, like I'm more stressed about writing my resume. Like I've been an RD for 3 years now and I have not touched it since I got here. And like, that's my biggest thing. I like don't even think about the application process. I'm like, I have to build my resume. So like, that's where I'm at. And I like had a session with the Career Center 2 months ago and I literally have not touched my resume since then because I just have no motivation. Like I have so many other things to do. And it's like, I need to work on that or I'm not going to get a job, but it's just not there.
I think for me, it's trying to figure out where I want to apply. because once again, I'm just going to keep saying I'm from Texas and I've been in Texas my whole life, and I am tired of it. I don't want to be here anymore. So I want to go like towards like the Makuho region, which is why I am excited to be at this conference. But I haven't had the experiences of like seeing what those places are like or what it would be like living in that kind of area. So I just think it's hard to navigate a search process whenever you don't know what the university structure and university climate is looking like at the universities you're trying to go to. However, I think that there is another pro from COVID is that the having to go on campus for on-campus interviews isn't as much of a necessity anymore, which for me would have been a real limitation on like trying to make sure I could take the time off of work, because we like canceled our spring break, so I couldn't schedule anything during a spring break. So it's made some things a little bit more accessible, but job search is stressful. I feel like I'm late to the game, but also not late to the game. I also have like a job search thing board, but it's a piece of paper and it's stressful. So I'm trying my best, and we're here and we're living it. So super stressful, but I don't know how to navigate it completely, and I'm trying.
I think what I'm more concerned about is the openings available to apply and actually go through that process. I'm very fearful of that, but I'm very hopeful that there will be some job openings for all of us. So we'll see.
I think too, you know, with COVID and the job search, I've heard too that this, when I think about student affairs like residence life and housing interviews, they are typically a tedious, mentally draining 1 to 2 day, maybe 3 sometimes day process where you're just boom, 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 constantly in interviews, and you are on the clock the second you get off that plane to meet your hosts or go to dinner with RAs. And so I think too that there could be a potential positive shift in the necessity for such an outstanding time commitment and also mental commitment. Like no matter how introverted introverted, you're like done, you want to go to bed. But no matter how extroverted you are, the job search process is challenging, specifically within our functional area. So my hope is that for you know, job searching in the future and for y'all who are going through the process for the first time, that there will be a change in culture within our field when it comes to that. So thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share anything regarding the job search process, questions?
Yeah, just to throw out there too, for you all, as we kind of seen through COVID, universities are going to do whatever they can to kind of stay open and keep things functioning. So, you know, even if it's not, you know, the most healthy thing to do or whatever, like schools are going to do what they can to stay open and keep this system functioning. So, you know, remain optimistic. You all are still working and employed as grads. Opportunities will be there. You might not get your, you know, your number one opportunity, but there will be opportunities for you. And for the people who are graduating currently, the transition from, you know, a remote graduate student to possibly another remote position as, you know, if you're working in res life. So you're still kind of learning things that you might need for that, you know, next start of your job. And, you know, as we always say, like, you learn so many things in higher ed, the skills are so transferable that, you know, maybe you're looking specifically in housing, but make sure you open up your, you know, your eyes to other positions that might be available on campus if higher ed is your thing, you know, and people are going to be understanding that this was a pandemic. So some of your skills might not, you know, you may have had a tough semester. It's not like you're going through the pandemic alone as grad students. And, you know, people, I shouldn't say this, but I look pretty often at, you know, jobs, not even because I want to change jobs, but just because I like to know what's out there and what's going on, and if people are offering opportunities, just to kind of know what's up. And it seems like, people, it's consistently being jobs posted. And then on the flip side of it, another random thought, because I think you guys all kind of had some good positive things to say about it, like conferences are going to be more affordable and different things like that. Some people are going to be burnt out from higher ed, and they're going to be like, yo, I'm getting out of here. And that's going to provide some opportunities for you all also to jump in as entry-level professionals and get some jobs. So, don't be nervous. Just know that you might not get the exact opportunity you want, but there will be things out there for you to take advantage of.
Thank you, David. Snaps to that. So I want to open it up. We have a little bit more time, but I wanted to open it up to anyone who has questions for the group or any topics that you want to chat or bounce ideas or anything off of each other.
I have a question / topic. So I'm in a dual master, so I'm doing an MBA and I'm doing a college and development master's. And so I want to ask, what other transferable skills do we not commonly see in our courses that we could maybe start to look at a little deeper? Because I think for me, being in also that business world, I've noticed there's a lot of things I'm taking away that I can turn into transferable skills, like marketing and accounting. I wouldn't normally think of oh, my students need this, but from that admin perspective, super valuable to me. So what are some skills that maybe we should be looking at, or that you've already participated in that maybe we should all be dialing into a little bit more to really bolster our marketability as professionals as we're job searching?
That's a really great question. I think from my observation right now, definitely technology and social media use is everything right now, right? Because a lot of older, and I don't want to make assumptions, but a lot of older professionals, that's not their strong suit. And so I definitely think navigating social media, personally, establishing your professional network. I've been really involved with the student affairs Twitter scene, which is starting to kind of slowly fizzle a little with the essay chat and those kind of things. But blogging is a really great experience. If anyone wants help with starting a blog, I love blogging. I would totally help you. So I think that's a good one. And I think, my other piece of advice is any opportunity that you're provided as a grad in different functional areas or with just any campus experiences, events, things in the community. So long as you can dedicate mental time to that, take advantage of those opportunities, but don't take on too much. So I think that, I had a little bit of a different story. I worked professionally before going to grad school. So I was a hall director for 3 years, and then I went to grad school at IUP for 2 years. And so during my time when I worked at St. Mary's College in Notre Dame, not the one in Maryland, for 3 years. And I was on a number of committees. I was certified in Green Dot for bystander intervention work. And so that's a passion area of mine. And so I think too, finding passions outside of residence life and housing and finding those little niches on committees are going to be really beneficial to make you, holistic professional. David, I don't know if you have anything to chime in with.
Yeah, that was great. I think that, one of the main things and what I've kind of narrowed down our field to is project management. Whether it's training, selection, moving, or any side things that you might get involved in. It's really a lot about how you're going to learn about a project, take a project, and see it all the way through, and what your role is in that, and how are you going to delegate tasks and work on a team. So a lot of it, and that's going to be the same in business world. But I feel like a lot of what we do, when I compare it to other careers and kind of look at the similarities, it's really a lot of project management, whether it's a small event that's just happening that night or a large housing selection, RA selection situation. So the better that you get at that in every aspect of whether you're leading it or just being a part of that team, and you're able to kind of speak to that, is going to be valuable for you. and then balancing multiple projects, or being able to manage projects and supervise the staff, and like what goes along with the projects that you were involved in and managing, and what else did you do while you were doing that? Was that the only thing you did, or did you have a few things running at the same time? I think when you're able to kind of have those experiences and speak to those experiences, those are going to help you to transfer in a lot of different workspaces.
I want to echo that a little bit. So like in my courses, like project management has been like the most influential for me in terms of like not just like applicable skills like post like job search when I get there, but also like just like currently, if you have the opportunity and like you have employers that are, I know like kind of like financially like things are a little tight right now. So if you feel like work at like a small university like I do, but like if employers are willing, like project management professional is a full certification and like course that you can take. I think it's a couple months long. It is a little pricey. It's like a couple $100, I believe, but it's one of the more prized professional certifications to get that's outside of their own student affairs that does have applicability. It's called Project Management Professional, or PMP. If anybody's interested in like looking that up, but it was super valuable information. But yeah, David, I totally agree. Like project management, like super valuable and super applicable, especially if you're like supervising people, like incredibly valuable.
And just one more thing before open to more questions. Professional involvement. This is also my shameless plug to get more involved with MCUO. But definitely getting involved as a grad is so critical, especially if you think that you may want to advance and be on leadership council someday. Swear I introduced myself to Stephen Appinell, past president. I was like, I want to help get grads involved. He's like, okay, give me a leadership council position. Like, you have opportunity to get involved at an, early in your career. And I think a lot of people don't think of it as, oh, like I got to wait a couple years to get involved. Getting involved now is so beneficial, especially as a young professional. I will tell you, MCUO is a family. I know we all say it. We're super weird. But I have met so many valuable colleagues who have just helped me to build my professional resume in so many different ways and just connect in different ways. And so, David and I will drop our emails in this. We will be probably transitioning I know I'm transitioning to a different position, but there will be someone to connect to the grads. So definitely stay in touch, stay involved, and, look to some of the experiences in MCUO to help build your experience as well. What other questions do y'all have? Or anything like random you want to talk about?
Is there a good, William Turner here. Is there a good individual that any of y'all can think of that is really nice to speak to about resumes and cover letters, things of that nature that you can all think of? I know at Bloomsburg, two of our professors, Denise Davidson and Mark Bauman, did a really nice session over a 2-week period, but I was just wondering from an external perspective as well, is there others that you can think of to connect with, to link to?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that I'm sure David would say the same. If you have resume questions or anything, I'm sure we would find time to look at it. I think too, that's also something I know. I believe David Klerman did a job search webinar earlier this year, and so that is definitely something. If you think like help with building a residence life and housing or student affairs in general resume, if that's something you need more of, that's something that we can recommend and offer. So I think even if we don't maybe necessarily have a specific person to refer you to, I will make a note of that, and that's something that maybe we can come up with, or have someone come up with a webinar sometime in the near future to help with that. But that's a really good point.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering about that.
For a second, I wanted to plug all of the TPE events that are happening because they have the Jumpstart Your Job Search situation. That's all virtual events that are free to attend. And like Thomas was talking about earlier, having the no cost associated really makes a lot of things a little bit easier and more accessible. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. So if y'all want to search through those, I was a TPE ambassador last year. So I'm like, GTP, super fun. Also, ACPA is an awesome organization to be involved in. I'm an ACPA ambassador, and that one's real fun. They have a lot of ways that you can be engaged as a graduate student. So highly, highly recommend.
Thank you. So my last question I'm going to ask you, and then don't let me forget, I have to give you a QR code because we are doing program evaluations, and we'd really appreciate your feedback. It's just when you think about your experience as a graduate student, what opportunities, topics, services could Makuo offer you to make your professional development deepen your professional development and help you as a graduate student? So is there anything lacking that you would like to see over the next year within Makuo, specifically for grads?
Just to go along with what William mentioned earlier with the resume building, potentially having like a workshop series that is easily accessible that you don't have to physically attend, but someone's presenting or webinar style that gets posted out so you can see what type of skills and transferable skills, again, that can be applied otherwise. And one of those workshops could be specifically geared towards resumes, but also not finalizing, but like solidifying your leadership style, or like what works in large groups, small groups, campus sizes, etc.
Going off Mahalat, the potential opportunity for like exploring the job search, especially as graduate students who are hopefully entering the field of housing or student affairs in general. You can just get a rundown of what that looks like, what to expect, the do's and don'ts of interviewing. I know that sounds more like MAPSy stuff, but also just as a professional organization and to help us develop our skills, which will obviously be transferable beyond just going from grad school to entry level, but just in general.
Something that I attended one time that I thought was really helpful, at least whenever I started my Kuo search process, was understanding how to like compile all of your information about your job search process into like one document versus like having notes on like several different like notebooks, or like having something in your office but not having something like readily available. One of my mentors put together like a spreadsheet that was incredibly helpful, and it was just a template on how to navigate your job search and keeping track of them, when your second interview is, what kind of institution it is, and institution type. And the other thing I was going to mention is if there's a way to connect with other grad students that are going through similar processes in like a more regular and maybe even a more casual manner, I think would be beneficial, because this is the first time I've gotten to like connect with a bunch of grad students that are not in my program. So being able to do this more often, I think would be very beneficial in the long run.
Thank you for that. I know that the engagement levels are trying to do more roundtables regularly. So we'll definitely make sure that your emails are added to that, but also with your Makuo profile, make sure that if you don't have one, because you did have to use a Makuo to sign up for this, set up your Makuo profile. It is free to do a membership for Makuo. And if you select at your grad level, that makes sure that we're pinging you in the listserv. So that would be super helpful as well. And that's an easy way to make sure you're getting all the information about Makuo. So thank you all so much for your feedback and insight. I am going to do a screen share for the QR code. So that is the QR code. If you could scan it on your phone, and please do the evaluation for our session, we would really appreciate it. And then I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. And then David and I will also just then make sure that you have our email addresses as well. All right. Did everyone get that? I'm going to stop doing a screen share.
So yes, but there isn't an option for 2 o'clock on Wednesday for the session time. I don't know if anyone else is seeing that.
Okay,
I'm seeing that as well.
Okay, maybe we're not in it. So thanks. Never mind. So my bad. I thought we were in there, but okay. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm going to drop my email now too. People are also dropping phone numbers if anyone wants to stay connected. But other than that, thank you all so much for joining us today. Please, and David's email is there as well. Please definitely check out more sessions throughout this week. And thank you all again for joining. Have a great day.